Hello, people. Going to make a recap of today's game, the third game of the World Championship match, Gukesh, Dingler and Gukesh. I didn't have time, was busy today, so I didn't look at it. I just came after, like an hour ago, and analyzed it a bit, but without engine, I promise you, and that is why probably it will be quite laughable what I will tell because the game was quite complicated and pretty tactical, so of course it's very difficult, especially if you are not thinking like for 20 minutes on each move, to understand what was happening. I have a certain idea, at least, I spent maybe like 15 minutes trying to understand what was going on. Laugh at me or not, but I will present you what I think about the game. And only after I will have a look, I will check with the engine. But the game was quite entertaining, quite interesting. I think there were few moments where players could have played better, in my opinion, but let's see. So d4, well, this is the series. cd5, yeah, that is my kind of revelation, because the problem is that if you start with knight c3, there are all sorts of variations, including d takes c4 Vienna variation, which is extremely direct, a lot of force lines, and maybe quite drawish at the end of the day. So cd5, I played it actually a couple of times. Once I remember against Anish Giri a few years ago, already in online rapid event, was a complicated game, ended in a draw. And then I played it, I think actually twice, in Düsseldorf team championship a year ago. I mean, this event which appeared on the chess map. I think this year it was in Kazakhstan, and at that time it was in Düsseldorf. I played for the pensioners team for pensioners, together with Swidler and Lenier Dominguez and other old chaps. And I played, I think, twice. Once with Prague, I had white with Prague, I played like this, and then against Erigaisi in the last round. Both times I had a winning position at some point, but both I spoiled, especially against Erigaisi. I was completely winning. I don't know, it was difficult to spoil it, but I managed anyway. Well, I remember that it was the last round, and we actually already lost the match anyways, and I had like 2 pawns in the center, like totally easily winning endgame, and actually enough time, but relaxed too early, started to blunder, and then I managed not to win it. But anyway, it has some venom, this variation, not that much frankly, but some. So knight c3, I guess the idea now black can transpose to almost any line he wants, so the idea was to avoid d takes c4. So probably a lengthy preparation, analysis of this Vienna variation, forced knight c3, dc4, ended up with a conclusion that it's a forced draw, probably. So that is the way. That is why it was played like this. But frankly, it's not too dangerous for black. Queen c2, there are different ways of playing for black, but g6 was always the main line, and now h3. This is kind of novelty that I invented myself, but it's not. Frankly, it's like already second game in a row when I just play something a little bit new just to get a game, but suddenly people play this in the World Championship match. I thought it was just for 1 or 2 rapid games or blitz games, no more than that. But there is some venom, bishop f5, queen b3, queen b6, and g4. Very strange idea, but it makes some sense. Takes. Well, the point is that if bishop retreats here, then maybe white can get some initiative. Bishop f4, I mean, playable endgame, or bishop g2 maybe. Still not sure if it's anything very special, but of course bishop c2 is critical, and now bishop f4. I think that was my game against Rigaisi. If I remember well, at some point he took on b3. Frankly, I don't remember exactly how was it. The idea is that if you take, then I think knight d2 was the idea, and if bishop c2, rook c1, the bishop can be trapped. And if bishop c4, if I'm not mistaken, that's what he played even. Takes, was it this or not? e3 and so on. Maybe it was a little different, but anyways, yeah, well, structurally black having a very good position. His only issue is this bishop on c2, which from one point of view it attacks the pawn on b3, from other point of view it can get trapped, yeah? And that is the whole idea of white's play, is to try to fight against this bishop, maybe to trap it at some point. So knight, it seems that Ding-Gukesh, yeah, I don't know what he was doing during his preparation, why he was not studying my games first of all, because it seems that he didn't know this variation. Of course, he should have studied my games, even Blitz online. But no, I'm joking, of course, but he didn't know, and Gukesh, well, actually, I think yeah, he was playing at the tournament, so he probably saw the game. Bishop f4, h5. Yeah, I don't remember already what I remember. I didn't believe this variation is too dangerous, but frankly, it seems to me that knight e4. I started to analyze a bit knight e4 move, and I couldn't find any real problem after knight e4. Because I need my rook on h1, it's tempting to open up h-line for the black's rook, but from other point of view, what is important here is that I can get my bishop to f4 back. If rook c1, here I think it's possible to take on b3, that's what I thought. I mean, this is nothing for white. So I suppose, I don't remember what did I want to do after knight e4, but supposedly I wanted something like bishop g2 probably. I guess so, but and maybe it's kind of messy. If bishop b4, maybe I can already here play knight d7, I don't know, but if bishop b4, then maybe castles, yeah, and it's getting complicated, I don't know. I guess it's better to have a computer engine here nearby to understand what is happening, but maybe it's possible just to take on b3, I don't know. But maybe knight e4 is a good move, well, has to be checked. But h5 is tempting. I think that's actually what he played against me. No, maybe, yeah, I remember the h line was open at some point in this game. Rook g1, well, obviously g5 is not good, knight e4, and then black has all these squares, f5 square to retreat with his bishop, and that is not the idea. So the idea is to play rook g1, hg. Yeah, and now, yeah, it's better to have this position analyzed at home because it's quite tricky. Maybe actually here, I think Arjun, he took on b3, knight d2. Maybe it was like this with the line open. Anyway, you will see, you will check this game if you are interested in it. So knight bd7, yeah, the most kind of simple, logical choice. I was thinking, what if, okay, if bishop b4, kind of tempting move, but knight d2, yeah, again, there is an issue with this bishop on c2. So bishop takes b3, yeah, knight d2. Maybe, yeah, now knight e4, it seems to me that it doesn't work so well already. Because strangely enough, h5 now it's in white's favor, h5 rook g1, because I believe here may be very important that white has rook g3 move. That's what it seems to me, that rook g3 might be very annoying, just protecting the pawn on b3, and then followed by rook c1. And unless black finds some tactics, I couldn't really find it. But then rook c1, I mean, the bishop is in danger, so probably knight e4 is not the move. Knight bd7, and then knight d2. Yeah, here, this position, I started to analyze a bit a very strange move, because, of course, rook c1, white wants to play, and probably rook g8, somehow I wanted to, you know, to manage without this move, because I like so much, well, obviously my rook on the h file, but black needs to understand what to do with his bishop on c2. So I had some strange idea, maybe even to sacrifice a pawn instead, to play g5. I analyzed it. Well, anyway, it's not really the way you play chess in the World Championship match, because I'm not sure it works, but maybe it's interesting. It has some there is some point to play like this, rook g8, and then, okay, now already my bishop can always retreat. And I don't know, there are moves like bishop f4. I was thinking, for instance, takes. I mean, again, now strategically black is perfectly fine. It just, the question is if he is not losing the bishop by force. But I moved a bit pieces like this, takes, and it looks like I'm losing the bishop, but maybe bishop b4, and then because of e4 pawn is hanging, maybe I can manage to keep it. But yeah, again, it's even maybe king f2, I don't know. A lot of king f2 probably I'm fine. A lot of calculation required, and I can fully understand that, you know, one miscalculation and you just get your bishop lost. So yeah, it's kind of strange. Also, of course, bishop f6 is a serious move. Knight f6, maybe black has some compensation, maybe not enough. I wouldn't play g5 obviously, but just cross my mind. That's all I want to say. Yeah, or maybe, yeah, also this way to sacrifice a pawn, because, you know, I like so much my rook on h-file that maybe even I can try to give up a pawn for it, but yeah, e3, no, shouldn't be enough compensation. There is some play, I mean, for black has active pieces, but it's still pawn is a pawn. So I think rook g8 is a good move. I mean, I believe he got a very decent position out of the opening. I don't think black had any problem. Now the idea is, I suppose that if rook c1, then g5. Yeah, that is the point. Yeah, once black's bishop retreats, in general, again, as I mentioned, black has a very decent position. I mean, strategically, let's say this f3, e3, king f2. Yeah, shouldn't be any problem really for black here. So this is, and now g5 came. It's a strange move, but very principled one. Very principled move. Probably otherwise position is complicated but more or less equal, and g5 is a bit risky, I would say, attempt in some way, because it's weakening a lot of squares here, but at least it's more like it's more direct, and it's more ambitious. So knight h5, bishop h2, but frankly hard to believe it really can give anything special for white. And now well, rook h8 was played. Yeah, I don't really see what is wrong if black would just, let's say, retreat the bishop, let's say, immediately on f5. I suppose white's plan is to play f3, e4 here. But let's imagine, yeah, let's say some move like bishop b4, knight b6 maybe. Knight b6, very standard play. e4, bishop e6, something like that. Knight on h5, yeah, it's on the edge of the board, but it's also, it's quite well placed, because it can get to f4 at some point, and it's very solid, you know, it's protected, also blocking the h line just in case white wants to enter there. So I don't think it's really a bad piece, for now at least. It can potentially become, and I believe here white center is, yeah, okay, he has a center, but I don't see how he can really make use of it. To me it looks like black has a perfectly fine position. I just tried maybe move like bishop c7, maybe that's only kind of tactical idea. I was thinking about it, bishop c7, but rook c8 seems to be okay. Well, if this, check in d8, nothing. Yeah. So it seems to me it was very solid, normal way of playing for black, but Ding went rook h8. Probably it's also fine, actually f3, but here there was, yeah, knight g7 was played. Let me check, because I put some notes. Bishop g3, yes, and now the move is very strange. I mean, rook h5, I just couldn't get it, the point. Well, I suppose that if knight e6, the idea is supposedly rook c1, yeah, knight takes d4 and e3, or even maybe bishop f2 possible instead of e3, but I suppose e3 and shouldn't be enough. Okay, maybe some little tricks, knight f5, but I don't believe it. Also bishop f2 might work here in this position, then followed by e3. So whatever, I mean, shouldn't be enough, so that is probably the idea, but I didn't quite understand. To start with, you can, well, okay, you can still go bishop f5, e4, bishop e6, but then, of course, it would have been much better probably doing it without knight g7. Knight on g7 is not really, not having too many prospects. So this I can understand, even though maybe it's still nothing so special for white. Then bishop e7 and so on. But okay, then I understand that why he didn't like it probably. But I thought, why not knight h5? Of course, it's a strange move to come back, but I couldn't find anything really, any idea really for white how to fight for advantage after knight h5. Of course, you can repeat moves always, I understand, but the point is like bishop h2. But well, trying to trap the bishop, I tried a bit. Well, it doesn't seem to work really. Bishop d6, rook g1, and even bishop f4 probably is possible. No, it's too much. I don't believe the bishop will be trapped. So then what else? Bishop f2. But then I can play maybe even knight f4, but even bishop f5 and bishop e6. Actually, I believe it's better for black to have white bishop on f2 and not on h2, because then the f4 square for the knight, and I think black is perfectly fine here. Bishop d6, because now he gets squares. I mean, bishop on h2 was much more active. So after knight h5, frankly, I don't know what can be the people want to play. The idea rook h1, I don't believe. No, so maybe bishop c7, I thought, because I don't really see any problem for black otherwise in this position. So maybe bishop c7, some strange idea, because now in rook c8, bishop h2, and now a7 pawn is hanging. Still not quite sure if this is if this is working. I was, for instance, maybe bishop f5 back, and seemingly e4, bishop e6. I tried, maybe white can try to play like this, takes, bishop b5, or king f2, bishop b4. Well, I mean, anyway, knight h5, it seems to me like bishop c7 is maybe almost the only try to play for something in this position. So to me, but I don't really believe it will be so terribly dangerous. Bishop on c7 is also strangely placed. So knight h5 would be my choice, but okay. But rook h5, in any case, it's a very strange move for many reasons. Frankly, I didn't quite understand what's wrong with bishop f2. I mean, why do you really need this rook on h5? Even if bishop f2 is played, not that I like my position of the rook on h5, so probably I suppose black will go back. I mean, not to lose his bishop, e4, maybe bishop e6 or something, but why do you need rook on h5? Because, I don't know, doesn't look so obvious to me that it's an improvement, so I don't like it because of many reasons, rook h5 actually. Another reason is also rook c1. This also doesn't look clear to me, but the main reason is e4. Yeah, so very difficult to understand this decision rook h5, because, well, in the worst case, especially since there is not so much time left, you can always play bishop e5, bishop e6. Yeah, it's not like not something you really wanted, but it's nothing so dramatic here. Yeah. And I guess there are also other moves, but it's so incredibly risky move for no particular reason, rook h5. So now it's white choice whether he wants just to play bishop f2 and keep on playing, as I understand, yeah, or he can try to play e4 with a very, very sharp play, and now you need to calculate variations. It looks very dangerous, and you don't have really time with black. So very strange decision. But still, I think later, yeah, maybe it was not that bad. Takes, knight e6. Yeah. Now rook c1. Yeah, I guess if bishop f2, at minimum black can just play bishop g7 probably, maybe something else. So, I mean, trying to go rook c1 maybe also other moves. So rook c1 is logical. Yeah, now it's getting pretty forced. Knight takes d4, bishop f2. And this is a very, very complicated position. So I try to analyze it to understand what is happening. I didn't. I'm pretty sure I didn't, but at least I will share with you my thoughts. Bishop g7. Yeah, of course, other options are possible, but okay, bishop g7 looks logical. Knight e2. Yeah, interesting resource, but I probably the best one. I don't know, because the point is that I think you can also win a piece like this, take on d4 and rook g2, but then the black squares are quite strong, and actually even having just one pawn, at least for the moment, against I mean, for the piece, it might be not too bad for black. Moves like bishop e3, you can, first of all, you'll take the second pawn, probably also maybe rook d8 moves, rook h1. I mean, there is, well, white's coordination is bad and all the pieces are in wrong places, so even with such a big material advantage like a piece just for one pawn, not sure it is so simple for white here. I mean, to prove that he has real winning chances. So knight e2 is maybe that's what Ding missed. It's possible, because it's not an easy move to see in advance at least. Or maybe not, because he just spent 1 minute on taking on b3. It seems to be only move, but now it gets very important. Knight takes d2. Frankly, I would do everything to take with a rook on d2. I really, something in this position makes me not play king d2 if I can, because I don't know what, but then I understood probably. I will try to formalize it on words. Actually, this position is more about coordination than material. I mean, I think white can afford giving up one more pawn, but to get his pieces into play, because of course material advantage, white has a decisive material advantage, but of course his coordination is awful. Yeah, his pieces are in very bad places. So I would that would make me think of playing rook takes d2. Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like it was a better move, at least for the moment. That's my feeling, because after rook d2, I mean, it's maybe difficult to win still, because of course the idea, I suppose, was knight e5, that white is losing the pawn on g5, but in fact it's not dramatic. Yeah, I would rather give this pawn and then rook g3. That would be my choice. Yes, of course, given the third pawn for the piece, but then my pieces are finally fully coordinated. So rook takes g5. Well, otherwise I think it should be bad for black probably. If knight c4, rook c2, I mean, taking the pawn doesn't seem to work. So you see now white is very active. Yeah, white pieces are all in the game. That's what I want in maybe not only rook b3, some other moves, but yeah, I want to get initiative. Yeah, I want to get my pieces active. So I guess Gukesh didn't play it because of rook takes g5 here, and he didn't want to give up the third pawn, but frankly I believe I would have gone for this. Yes, it's difficult to win actually this position. Maybe it's even closer to a draw, but at least white has all pieces. Well, maybe it's a matter of taste, or if you want, of style, because now I know that my coordination is good. Yeah, it will be difficult to win, but at least it's not impossible to win. For instance, knight e6, maybe at some point bishop h3 will come. I don't know how to assess this position, but I believe white has winning chances here. Because king d2 is, maybe it's more ambitious because white wants to keep all pawns, but there is something like wrong in white's pieces. And I think here there was some mistake. That's my feeling. Knight e5 I don't like at all, knight e5 move. Strangely enough, it's a very like tempting to, but then I try to understand, okay, white is not really, it's not easy for white to get somehow his pieces in the correct position without losing the pawn on g5. So black seemingly has quite some time to do something, but let's say some logical move like rook d8, It's possible, but then I believe knight f4 seems to work. And if knight e5 check, king e2, I don't see. I mean, rook h2, bishop g2, and then bishop g3 comes, and white gets out, and then he will be winning. So I spent a few minutes analyzing this position, and I think I found the idea. Actually, black needs to activate his rook and to create quick counterplay. And I believe a5, that is finally my conclusion, that actually a5 was a clearly best move in this position. That was what it seems to me, because it's very important a4, a3. First of all, I am exchanging one pawn that makes it kind of closer to a draw. Yeah, it leaves white with less material to win with an extra piece. And secondly, yeah, it's just like maybe a4, rook a5. I activate my rook because it's like logical to get it on the d line, but it's not doing that much. Yeah, if you remember the second game, when rook d8, rook c1 didn't play, and in fact rook is not entering anywhere. But here also I'm pressing b2 pawn. I believe it was very important to play a5, and here, for example, a4, I want to change pawns and also to get my rook into the game. And it seems to me that after a5, maybe I'm wrong, but it seems to me that black has very considerable drawing chances. So in my understanding, it was by far the best move. For example, okay, I just want a4, a3, or a4, rook a5, so probably knight f4 is, to me, looks most logical. Rook h2, and let's say rook g2, I don't know, or maybe bishop g2, but then still a4. Yeah, and then again, let's say, yeah, you kick me here, I go, but now b2 pawn, rook a5 comes, g5 pawn, b2 pawn, a3. I believe here probably knight d3 is best move, but it seems to me like rook a5, a3, very, very considerable drawing chances. Rook h5, yeah, I believe this was I mean, once I found this move, I felt like it's clearly the best try for black, and maybe even it's not too bad for black, this position after a5. But yeah, didn't play the very natural move knight e5. Probably if he would have half an hour more, he would find it, because it's very clear this position is critical. You know, it's very easy to understand that, okay, now if white manages, let's say, to coordinate his pieces, let's imagine knight on f3, it's just over, the game is over. So black has to, but it's not easy to manage. So black has to be very, very accurate, very precise now to try to create problems for white, because it's like now or never. That's why it's well, would probably was very important to have more time in this position to find the most accurate way to do it. Maybe it's a5 as I mentioned. Maybe I'm telling nonsense. I don't know. You know better. But anyways, what was played knight e5, and I think now I don't quite understand why not rook c3. It's so much more logical to play rook c3. I mean, I would, because then king gets to c2. Like, again, it's pretty much, as I understand, about coordination of pieces. That's why it is so important to get, you know, I mean, to get, and this is like my rook on c2 is not well placed. So I didn't understand, well, I don't know what engine is saying, but to me it looks like after rook c3, unless I'm missing something, but white just wants to get king to c2, and well, I don't really see what stopped Gukesh from playing this move. Well, because if rook h2, I mean bishop g3, I suppose you can play. So what was the problem? I didn't understand. And then king c2, to me it looks like it's, or let's say check on d8, king c2, rook, bishop h3, you get your coordination, and black's position should be, then if you manage to get out with pieces, should be pretty bad black's position. So I don't know. Looks like a simple and logical move to me. But knight d4, and now again, now especially a5, I believe was absolutely necessary to play. Again, with the same idea, a4. And yeah, here maybe it's not, maybe it's a little worse version, but still, let's say this, bishop g3, and even I go back to h3, somewhere bothering maybe the pieces of the opponent, and still some rook d8, a4, a3 is coming again. It doesn't seem to me so easy for white here, not at all. So but Ding played a bit, like a bit too simple, here rook d8, king e2, and I mean, it's a logical way of playing, but here, strangely enough, I was trying to analyze this play, trying to find ways how to play it, but I couldn't really find. It looks like it's not yet so bad, but the problem is that now white finally manages to play b3, and black cannot really activate the rook, and then slowly starts to get out with pieces, and I don't see any more counterplay for black. So what you see, I was trying all sorts of moves, maybe bishop f8, at least trying to get bishop e7, but then knight f3 is very unpleasant. So here, one not so obvious mistake, at least as it seems to me, and here I don't see really. I tried still a5, for example, maybe, but already now b3 or knight f3 or b3 also. I don't see, and then knight f3 comes at some point. It seems like here, I don't know what to do. Rook h2, bishop g2, I don't know, maybe knight f3, what if knight f3? I guess maybe some tactics. I mean, like takes, some pin, but might also be knight f3. I don't quite immediately see anything wrong with knight f3, like takes. Actually, bishop d4, maybe what? I don't know. Actually, I don't know whether I'm missing something, but it looks to me like knight f3 is very simple and very good. Why it was not played? A good question. Maybe takes rook d1 or no, bishop g2. I don't know. It looks like the very simple way of playing, but well, maybe I'm missing something. Bishop g2, and now if knight g4, knight f3 doesn't really work. So it's not so easy for white to find a way, because I believe, it was coordination wise was not correct. Rook c3 was better, probably also knight f3 instead of bishop g2, if I'm not blundering. But here, there is no like clear plan, but also black cannot do that much. So maybe I was thinking finally, okay, a6, a little soft move, but okay. And at some point, maybe black has to try to bother this g5 pawn. Like I was thinking about rook h5. The problem is that I'm not really so much threatening after rook d. Here rook h5 already, knight f3 probably works. And if knight d3, bishop e3, everything under control for white. So rook d7, this is a bit sad. To play rook d7, it's already clear that things are getting wrong. Rook c1. Don't know if it's the best way of playing. Maybe, something tells me there might be a more convenient way for white, but rook c1, okay. And now there was still some moment. I think king e7 was wrong. I thought maybe now rook h5 to make use of the fact that here after rook c1, after knight f3, I can play knight d3, at least to take this bishop. Not that it might not save the day, but actually it might, because rook d1, knight f4 check is a bit annoying probably. So that is a point, that at least there is no knight f3 move here. And so I was, and if rook d1, what was I was thinking, there is this tactics, if rook takes g5, bishop h3, so it's not really hanging still the pawn, so rook d1, maybe it's still strong. But anyway, here it's not so much time, position is still quite complicated, and it's difficult. I don't see any clear way to play here for black, and if white manages to get his coordination, it will be over. So king e7, it doesn't look like the correct move. I'm not sure that king is staying better on e7 than on e8 anyway. So rook d1, white slowly finally gets his coordination. You see, it was so important to activate the rook. It's not active anymore, and here king e8, okay, that's already desperation. Bishop g3, so now white is getting out. Knight f3. Here I think it's already really bad. I think because there is tactics, as I understand, In case of rook d1, yeah, knight f3, king f3, yeah. That's a point. Yeah, very good calculation by Gukesh, but anyways, the position was already bad. So here it's very obvious, two bishops, and even I think black cannot really take the pawn on g5. For instance, if you take bishop h4, is winning, and then if rook retreats, rook d8 mate. So yeah, now the game is over. Bishop d4. Also, Ding has no time, but that was already not helping. Rook h1. Here again, you see coordination. White pieces are active. Black lost all initiative, and of course, material piece is a piece. Yeah. Rook takes g5. Now probably more than one way to win, but bishop h3 is, yeah, it's pretty. Yeah, now black is also losing material. So actually it is now already black which became discoordinated. Yeah, all his pieces are in the bad positions. f5, bishop f4, and well, he played rook h5 and resigned. I suppose not very difficult tactics. Bishop takes f5, by far not the only way, but seems to me that it just wins on the spot. And so, yeah, Ding resigned. Well, it was a very interesting game, very complicated, maybe not flawless well, definitely Gukesh played pretty well, but still I believe here, I still believe rook c3 was a serious mistake, which could have caused him, first of all, rook d2, but that is questionable. But here I'm in this position, yeah, I think knight d4, yeah, I should have gone rook c3, in my opinion, and it would really like coordinate so nicely all the pieces, and I'm sure after rook c3 he would have won the game. But after knight d4, a5 again, sorry to repeat, and then a4, I'm not sure at all. I would actually be rather optimistic with black in the sense of making a draw. I would think that situation got better. I don't know, bishop e2, let me check. Only maybe bishop g3. Is there any tactics here for black? No, maybe still rook h3, maybe only tactically, because if I just get now a couple of moves with black, again, white's pieces are hanging somehow. Maybe king c1, if I'm not again blundering something. But again, this a4 is really very unpleasant. A line, you know, bishop is very strong bishop on the diagonal, and a line. So maybe rook, yeah, somehow not easy for white to play this position, because black gets, yeah. So that was a very, in my opinion, again, was a major mistake to play rook d8 and to get the rook on the d line. And here it's, yeah, no time, maybe still, yeah, because a5, even b3 already possible, even, yeah, because there is no a4. Rook is, strangely enough, again, is not well placed in the open line, in the most kind of logical place where it should be d8 in such positions, but probably it was maybe a decisive mistake. But complicated game, interesting game, not the best achievement of Ding Liren, because first of all I don't understand why he played this rook h5, was a very strange move. And then then it was a bit difficult also because of time, and I mean, yeah, position was not simple, but yeah, he also didn't catch the essence, I believe, of the position, which is to attack g5 pawn and to try to push a pawn. Yeah, and the remaining, the rest of the game, I think Gukesh played correctly and deservedly won. So let's see. Yeah, interesting beginning of the match. Let's see what is going to happen next. And forgive me if I'm telling nonsense, if engine will laugh at everything I say, but okay. Anyways, what can I do? We are still very far from computers. Yeah, so I try to give you like a human impression for amateurs, for chess lovers. And again, sorry if it was if there were a lot of mistakes in my very quick and very general analysis.